Personally, I'm one of those individuals that believes that it is important to help other people if and when you can. Welcome to Watching the Horizon. I'm Jake. All right, I hear you. You know who you are. You asked me the question, the scenario question. I feel like everybody gets asked this. Most of the time I ignore it because, usually it's just bait to get the trolls going. But the question has been asked, and I thought to myself, I think it's worth discussing. We're gonna talk a little bit about the ramifications of your decisions. You've heard it before, I'm sure. If you watch any prepper channel, the scenario has been asked. The SHTF event has occurred. It's passed. We're in the somewhat immediate days thereafter. And the point is that there are a lot of people out there who were caught unprepared. However, the scenario is that I, who am prepared, in the best of circumstances, someone approaches me. They come to either my bug out location or wherever I am. Maybe I'm bugging in at my home. A woman knocks on the door and she's holding a small baby and she has two small children. And she's hungry and she needs food and her kids are starving. What do? Do you help the woman? Do you send her away packing? Some of the concerns are, if you take her in, is she just the bait where actually she's probably part of another group? She's going to report back to them on how much supplies you have, and then they're going to just come in and rob you blind. I'm sure that'll happen. I'm confident that it will. Here's the thing. It's a scenario that, because it will likely happen, and because there are different types of people out there, it could actually be a woman with starving kids, and that's it. It's certainly possible there's nothing more. And all she's doing is either going door to door, or if you're out in the country, she's just walking. She's just out there and she's just looking for help. She was on her way somewhere else. They'll always have a really good story, and there you go. That's the situation. Do you turn her away? Do you bring her in? Do you make her part of your group? Or is it a scenario where it's likely that she's going to go back and then, your good deed will not go unpunished? And here's the thing. I feel like it's a very personal choice. And today, in a pre-SHTF situation, it's really easy to make your claim that you would do this. Those preppers out there who say that they would just turn her away because she had her chance, she should have known better, she should have prepped. A lot of people will point to, the biblical stories of the virgins with the midnight oil, or Noah, and how when it started to rain, you couldn't take those people on. It was too late. It was too late. And so a lot of people take that approach and say it's too late. Others take the opposite approach where they're like, you know what, I'm just that type of person. I am just, in my heart, that's who I am. I can't stand to see suffering. So I would take them in. I would give them all the help that I could for as long as I could. And even if that was of a detriment to me, so be it. And okay, all right. I mean, that's a valid answer. Is it right? Is it wrong? I think that's kind of the point of the whole question. What would you do? What kind of person are you? Oh, not coffee. That's the kind of person I am right there. So what's my answer? Well, my answer is I probably wouldn't even answer the door. I'm already sort of a jaded individual with my circle of friends and the people that I know, and with the technology that we enjoy today, with cell phones. Long gone are the days of an unannounced visit. There's no such thing. I don't think that I have ever gotten an unannounced visit from anybody that I know in like, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, whether it's, friends or family coming over, there's always a phone call or an email or a text message or, something indicating, hey, you want to hook up later on and we can go out and do whatever? Or, hey, you mind if we come over? There's always some sort of communication. And I've just come to learn that if there is an unexpected knock on my door, I don't want to talk to them. No good can come from that. They're just trying to sell me something. Whether it's they're trying to sell me, roofing supplies or a vacuum cleaner or a new religion or whatever. I don't answer the door if I don't expect you. And I don't imagine that habit would change much post SHTF. I'd like to think what would happen is I would be out at my bug out location. I would be out on a homestead. If I were to look at it that way, and you're knocking on my door out in the country, I know you had to come a long way to be there. Now, obviously, I don't have that location already. I'm still in the process of putting that together, so I don't know what you had to cross to get to me. I think that would probably play a factor. But okay, let's get to the crux of it. Let's get to it. There's a woman. She's at the door. Real life situation. I probably wouldn't answer the door. Honestly, I wouldn't answer the door. I would probably know of her approach ahead of time because I'm a big animal lover. I love dogs especially, and chances are there would be at least one or more dogs on the property that would have alerted us to somebody. There's a good chance that she never would have even made it to the door because the dogs would have held them back. But same situation, whether she's at the door or whether she's at the gate, I get it. There's a real good chance that I simply would not engage in a conversation at all. But that's not to say that I wouldn't do anything. I would go on high alert, basically. I would be concerned, especially if I knew that it was a post-SHTF scenario. And if I'm out in the country, we've probably banded together as a community out there. Very typical. So I'd like to think that I would be able to call somebody on the radio, shortwave radio. I can be like, hey, anybody know anything about, a woman with a baby and a couple of kids? There seems to be somebody up by my gate or up at my front door. Anybody hear anything, know anything about it? Anybody see any groups of people moving along? I probably would have done the equivalent of Googling the phone number that I didn't answer because I didn't recognize the caller ID. That's probably where I would start, honestly, truly. Next is, depending on the timing of, how far after the SHTF scenario. If we're talking immediately after, like say within a couple of days, I would probably be more prone to helping. I would be more trusting in those early days. Less time to organize. Chances are this is somebody who was in their car or something like that. I would recognize that they're on foot and they were caught unprepared. The likelihood that she is the distraction to a much larger sinister force, I think is certainly less likely the closer you are to the actual event. But if we're talking, maybe a couple of months down the road, and here's a woman at my door or whatever, I would probably be on much higher alert because she's been doing something between then and now to stay alive. It's not like she just randomly showed up or ran across, my location. In that scenario where it's short after an event, I would probably watch and observe. I would, from a distance, definitely kind of see what's going on, see where she's going to go next, see if she's talking with anyone else, see what kind of supplies she has with her. I would try to get as much information about the situation as possible. If I really thought that maybe she was an individual in need with small children in need, then I would probably be the one to approach her after she left. After she was gone and she was down the road or wherever she ended up going, I would probably try to observe more about where did she go back to? Is she truly in desperate need and she's just trying to, get anybody to help her? And if that's the case, then I would probably meet her down the road with some supplies, with some water, and I would talk to her first and just, get a feel. Again, as long as we're talking about, in a short amount of time after the SHTF event. If we are talking about a longer term, a month or two or longer or anything like that, I'm definitely not answering the door. Definitely going to be mindful. But here's the thing. Personally, I'm one of those individuals that believes that it is important to help other people if and when you can. Now, I've got preps. I've got enough to take care of me and mine. But if I'm in a situation where I am able to help other people, I do believe, morally speaking, I have a duty to do what I can to help my fellow man. But by no means am I a hero, and I certainly don't want to be one. Again, I would watch, I would communicate with others, I would let other people know of the situation, however that is. Again, because I am of a mind, I'm not going to be isolated. I'm not going to be alone. A lot of people will be. But I will have communication with other people. And I will be able to communicate the situation that here's a woman with her kids. She's at my property line. She's at my door. I'm going to watch and observe. Please check in on me in, say, 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. Please, if you've not heard of anything or aware of anything, maybe this is just the first of, a moving band of individuals, trying to take advantage of who they can. So I would be in communication with other people. Because we're talking about very small children, that's of interest to me. If I have to share, then I will. If I did have extra, I would be willing to share. But how I would go about that, I would be very cautious. I would be very careful. I wouldn't have whatever interaction that I was going to have with her. I wouldn't have it at or on my property. Yeah, in both scenarios, it wouldn't be at or on my property. I would approach them on my terms. I feel like you'd get a better feel for the person. They're not necessarily in acting mode, and so they're not necessarily turned on. Maybe they've got someone in the bushes. Maybe there's someone who's holding them hostage, and so maybe they're really the victim. But if I could help and I have the ability, I would want to. I would just be very cautious about doing it. So there's your answer. I don't know. Did you get what you were looking for out of that? Like I said, I feel like that question is just it's something the trolls ask so that they can so they can get their fingernails into you and criticize you. Honestly, I think it's a real world situation. I definitely think that's going to happen. And I think that both scenarios of it being a true, call for help, I think it's likely. But I also think that it being bait is also likely. Something to think about. Let me know your thoughts. What other scenarios do you got? There's a few of them out there, but I do enjoy the creativity that you guys come up with. Some of them are a little elaborate, but what type of actual moral dilemmas do you think that you're going to end up facing as a prepper post SHTF? All right, thanks for watching, and be sure to keep your eyes open.